Oh, I just realized I'm early.
Oh, just a little, just like a minute early. You good?
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good.
That's good.
Cool. Cool beans.
I'm gonna go get my charger real quick from my
Okay.
computer.
Hello.
Hi, Ia.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. See you're en route.
I know. It's like this is the first class where I'm like moving. I
Right. I'm used
was
to seeing Joy
fortunate
in
to
the
get off
car.
right. I was fortunate enough to get off of work early, and I bought a hammock, so we're gonna go test it out.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's in Louisiana right now, so I don't know if she'll be joining us.
Oh wow. My
Yeah.
sisters just came from Louisiana. Literally, all my sisters went, but me and the littlest one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was teasing her because my all my family is back there or from there, so I was teasing her about going to see because we think we actually may be related, honestly, because
Oh.
we have some connections in common, and we would not be surprised at all if we learned that we were actually cousins.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
have cousins down there too, my on my adopted side, but I don't think I've ever met them.
Yeah,
Only saw pictures.
yeah. I got your message, Gia. How are you?
I'm well, just eating some dinner.
Yeah. I just slam dunk mine, so I understand.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Give folks a few more minutes to get in. I didn't set up my music like I do, like I've done in the past. I was running in here and did not set up any music. Yeah.
I was going to ask you if you have any books to recommend that just kind of tell some of the stories that you were sharing last week about the different Orishas.
Sure. I have several books. One, there is, and I'll name you authors because there are certain authors that I think really do capture a lot of really great information about the Orishas. One book in particular, in terms of what we call pataki or stories, is John Mason. His books tend to have a lot of good information on that. If you want to go with some of the traditional sources on stories, you can also, I'm actually looking at some of my stuff right here. Um, you can go with Olodumare, God in Yoruba Belief. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a very good. It's a book. I'll put it in the chat. I'm sorry, I have the background on. So anything by well, this particular book by Idowu, Bolayi Idowu, God in Yoruba Belief. That's a great book. I would say Judith Gleason is another author who's written a number of pivotal books on Orisha worship and stories. Um, So Judith Gleason, she's written books on several Orisha. She's written on Oya. She's written on Ogun. Hey, Ross. She's written on I think she's wrote a book on Yemanja or Yemanja no Shun. There's some books that are in Spanish that are really good too. Um,
And you said, Judith, you said you'll put the names in the chat, or you'll.
uh-huh. Sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Judith Gleason, she's one. Um, John Mason, who I've mentioned, he has one book on Black gods that I recommend. Also, the book on Yoruba tales, folk tales and heroes. Is that the name of it? A book I read to my kids. I've read to my children a lot. Um, Harold Kurlander, um, Tales of Yoruba Gods and Heroes. Um, yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
So yeah. So yeah. So I would say you could start with those. Once you get into more advanced study, I can introduce you to some other books, but I think for starters, they offer good books for starters.
Okay. And then just last question. I didn't do you send a follow-up email, or with like the recording, will I be able to access some of the earlier recordings that I missed? I just didn't get an email, so I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I hadn't sent that out. So yeah, you didn't miss anything. I'm sorry, I didn't get to that.
No, it's okay.
Mhm. Tiara, is that how you say your name?
Yes, Tiara.
Tiara, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Welcome to the class.
Thank you.
Yeah,
This is
so
my first time here.
yes, it is. That's why I wanted to say welcome. I've
Mhm.
not seen you here before. So welcome to the class. I'm gonna start sharing and we'll get started and I also wanted to give folks some chance to get in the room, but I also want to honor everybody's time. Okay, wait, someone else just got in the room. I'll try to keep an eye on that too. All right. We're going to talk today about Yami Oshun. And as you all likely know, Oshun is my mother in Orisha. I was initiated to the mysteries of Oshun in 2002. And I've said this to some people, anyone who claims to know Oshun, even if you have been initiated to her 60 years, if you claim to know Oshun, you do not. And I'll explain a little bit about what that means. But no one can claim to know Oshun. All we can know, all we can gather is what we've observed and what we can bear witness to as experience. But you'll be hard pressed as a person to say that you know Oshun, or you know what Oshun's about, or what Oshun stands for, or what Oshun does or doesn't do. So I place that caveat before we start the class because I like to keep the same structure, but I'm only giving a glimpse. I could do three of these. I could do parts 1, 2, and 3 on Oshun and still have plenty of ground to cover. And if people want to do more deep dive into Oshun, we can. But I wanted to give as much information today as I could to everyone. So I welcome your engagement and questions and feedback. Some of us have had some. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Some of us have had. Oh, I don't know why it's advancing. Um, Sorry about that. Um, some of us have had several encounters with Oshun, either through her speaking to us through divination or through some other means. And so we can hear the messages of what Oshun would have us to know and remember. And those messages give us an idea of what Oshun holds in great of, in terms of priority for those who want to learn and grow with her wisdom as the guide to their growth and wisdom. So there are, for me, I can tell you, someone who's been initiated to her mysteries, that there are certain themes that I can recognize as being very familiar and consistent with how she gives us guidance, and I can speak to those. One second. Ask your dad. I'm in class. Period. And so those are some of the themes that are going to come up, and if there are any experiences that anyone has had with Oshun, or with her energetically, or through divination, or through one of her children, or through her or in nature, feel free to ask about that. Feel free to open up opportunities for others to learn and share through your experiences. So Oshun is literally the word for Oshun. There's only a few different translations of what the word Oshun means. The one that I've been taught and the one that I work with is the source. Oshun means literally and is the source. And by the source, Oshun is literally the source of life. She is literally the source of capacity for us to have capacity to bring life into the world, to save life, and to proliferate those things that are living. And to make the possibility for life to occur, or to come into existence. So Oshun is the source. And as the source, that means that she is really the keeper of many, many secrets. She is mystery. Olokun is also talked about as being mystery because of what we know about Olokun being at the bottom of the ocean. No one knows what lies at the bottom of the sea, all of that. Very true. But Oshun is mystery for a different reason. Oshun is the only Orisha that has had intimate knowledge and relationship with multiple Orisha. A lot of the myths discuss this in terms of her marrying, consorting with, or coming under tutelage with, and learning mysteries of different Orishas. So she has intimate relationships with Osine. Osine is the Orisha that owns all the medicines and the leaves of the forest, and is the medicine, is the Orisha of healing and herbal arts in the amongst the pantheon. She, of course, has deep mysteries of thunder and lightning, and all of those aspects we deal with Shango as his consort. She has deep mysteries of there we go. Oshun has deep mysteries of of the forest because of her knowledge of herbs through her relationship with Osan. She has deep knowledge of all ancient wisdom through her knowledge of divination because of her deep relationship with Orunmila, which I'll talk about later. She has deep knowledge of all the waters because the river runs through every source of water there is um, in some form or fashion. And she has relationships with Olosa, the owner of the lagoon. She has relationships with Yemanja, the owner of the ocean. So Oshun is this thread of continuity or thread of existence through every aspect of nature. She has deep knowledge of healing through Obatala and her relationship with Obatala. So she has deep knowledge of all of these very different aspects of nature, aspects of life, aspects of the world and the universe that we live in. And that deep knowledge has given her opportunity to have the secrets of how all of those things work, how all of those things work to our betterment. And so she is the keeper of secrets for that reason. There are other reasons people speak of that with her, but that's what I think of when I consider her to be that keeper. So keeping that knowledge and working with that knowledge means that when you work with Oshun, you're working with an energy that has relationship to other energies that is very intimate. So, and it also gives her a certain power that in presence in the world that other Orisha do not have. Oshun is the river Oshun in Nigeria, which is in the Ibadan province of Nigeria. This is actually a picture of Oshun River at Oshun Oshogbo. This river is the place where she has taken up, is believed to have taken up residence as a source of life, and defended this Oshogbo against invaders, defended Oshogbo against coming armies. So she has a very deep connection to this area of Ibadan in Nigeria, Ibadan province, and has an allegiance to the people in this community, and they with her. So there's a lot of the myths and patakis or stories that we talk about with Oshun deal a lot with this area of Nigeria and the people's knowledge of her from that area of Nigeria. Oshun is the youngest Orisha. So that means that of all of the primordial Orisha that descended to earth, she is considered the last one to descend and the last one to exist and make the world what it is. One of the more prominent stories that talks about her road or her journey as the youngest Orisha is in the Odu Oshetora, which talks about the creation of the world. In Oshetora, Olodumare, the god of all, the container of all possibilities, sent the Orisha to earth to make the earth habitable for human beings. And so I don't know why it keeps moving forward. So the Orisha descended down from Olorun, which is heaven, Orun, to earth, and each had their role. Olodumare sent them down, the major 16 Orisha sent them down, and each had their role. Each were, elders, each were respected for what they had to offer, except for Oshun. So they all came down. They all went about the task of setting up the earth and the world for us to inhabit, Obatala set about the task of spreading the earth and making the earth solid, negotiating the earth with Olokun so that there can be solid ground for all of us to walk on, ensuring that there's human life that Olodumare breathed life into. Of course, Ogun went about forging, making the world inhabitable by, working with the minerals in the earth that were, and ensuring that there were minerals in the earth that everyone could use to make tools and make a life through that. And so this went on. All of the Orishas were busy at work, and Oshun, of course, being an Orisha herself, asked, I'd like to help. I'd like to be here and helpful. Olodumare sent me as well. I'd like to come and help. And they all just pushed her to the side and said, no, young girl, get away. We're doing, grown folk stuff kind of thing. You just sit tight. We're not looking for your help. And so Shun said, oh, really? She didn't fuss. She didn't fight. She said, okay, fine. And so she withdrew her support from the making and the creation of the earth. So when they tried to, when the Obatala tried to mold humans, he could not. They were misshapen or not able to hold well because he had no way to hold them together. There was no plant life that was able to be grown. There was no way that humans were able to be made. They wouldn't be able to drink. There was no water to drink that would not dry them out because there was only salt water from the sea. So all of these things, everyone who was trying to make this thing happen couldn't because they didn't have Oshun's help. And so everything they were trying to do to make things work was failing. They go back to Olodumare and say, oh, we're not sure what's going on. We're trying to do all that within our powers to make the earth habitable, and nothing's happening, nothing's working well. And Olodumare said, well, did you ask and speak to Oshun? And they all looked at each other and said, that young girl? No, we didn't ask her. She's a young girl. Why would we ask her? And Olodumare reminded them that Oshun went down there with her. And Oshun is the key to what they were hoping to achieve. And not only did they have to, um, um, ask Oshun for her help in order to make the world actually function and work, they had to apologize to Oshun and tell her that they regret their decision not to include her in the making of the world. And so once Oshun accepted their apology and decided to participate in the process, everything that they worked to make happen actually did work to its best end. So we have many stories like that where Oshun is oftentimes the Orisha that is least remembered, least paid attention to, least understood in terms of her powers, least respected, but then gains respect through her knowledge of secrets, through her qualities, through her. So she's always had to, even though she has always been portrayed as having beauty, having all of these qualities that people see as attractive, she's always had to use strategies and at times complicated or engaged strategies to manage beyond people's expectations and beyond people's understanding of her capacity to do anything. She's always had to um, fight, but in a way that is not combative to her opponents. But she has always had to use her wit and her intelligence and her ability to see beyond what others see in order to get to goals that others don't think that she can reach. And so her being the youngest Orisha has meant that she has had to have a way of managing life for her children and for those she protects in that same way and giving them instruction in that same way. So along with that, Oshun is known as the goddess of love. That is oftentimes what Oshun is known for, because when she is portrayed in dance, she is portrayed as laughing, effervescent, and elegant and very feminine energy. But Oshun, as many of you have likely heard me say, she rules over the range of emotions. Oshun, because of her knowledge of secrets and because of her relationship with so many different Orisha, she knows the depths of sorrow as well as the highs that the highest joy can bring. She has experienced that full range of emotions and oftentimes works to support all of us so that we can manage our emotions and be in balance with our emotions. As I mentioned, she is the Venus of the Orisha. She is the one that has the secrets to the laws of attraction and seduction. She's used them in so many different ways. She used them to seduce Ogun out of the forest when civilization was failing, and Ogun drew away from civilization. Oshun, when no other Orisha could bring him out, they tried through force, they tried through every other means, but she used honey and seduction and her presence to lure Ogun out of the forest and back to civilization so that he can continue to work for us. So Oshun, again, used tools and strategies that no one else did use. She is also very, very instrumental in reproduction and protection of women and children. She protects children in the womb. She rules over all the flows of water or veins in the body. She rules over the veins of the body and blood that rolls through the body. All the rivers of the body belong to Oshun. So that includes also the amniotic fluids that are accompany children when they're being born in gestation. So she literally protects children in the womb through amniotic fluid that surrounds the child, that provides the nutrients and the capacity for a child to grow healthily in the womb. So Oshun is the Orisha that women the world over, from Nigeria to Brazil to all over, go to whenever they're having difficulty in pregnancy or trying to get pregnant. Oshun is the Orisha that we go to. And that's due to the fact that Oshun, when one of the Patekis goes that when Oshun wanted to have children and could not, she went to Olodumare and was told through her diviners that she had to make a sacrifice so that all women could have children. So when she made sacrifice for herself to have children, she made sacrifice for all women to be able to have children. So when she made good on performing her sacrifice in Nebo to fulfill that goal with Obatala supporting her, she made that sacrifice for all women and knows the mysteries for how to ensure childbirth and and pregnancy for women. So that's why she is literally the patron saint of pregnancy in that regard. And she's also a defender of women's liberation. So there are many Patekis that speak of Oshun liberating women from oppression. in several Odu. There's Odu that talks about the first possibilities of marriage came through Oshun liberating women who were forced to have sex with men because men and women never lived together. So the men would come and subdue the women against their will. They made a bow to Oshun, and Oshun used her strategies to alter the course of the men who were trying to subdue the women, and so the women could fight the men back and capture the men and have the men on their own terms. And so once the women were able to do that, there's I'm not telling the story as thoroughly as I should, but as it turned out, Obatala decreed as the moral authority of all Orisha, once Oshun worked on and advocated on the women's behalf to Obatala, that from now on men had to live with women and not and women had the will to determine when they wanted to be with men intimately and not be subdued by men. So Oshun literally liberated, in some stories, I believe it's Odisha, that was the Odu, that where she literally liberated women from being forced to have sex in order to have children, so that they had the free will to have children through Oshun's intervention. So Oshun, I think all of these stories speak to Oshun being the owner of intelligence. It's very, very hard to debate that question. Oshun, Shun really has had to use intelligence and diplomacy and strategy to bring about change in the way that she has and does for her children. She oftentimes is the Orisha that teaches us to use our intelligence over our emotions, or to use our head over our heart when making decisions, when moving forward with things. So Oshun is that Orisha that gives us that strategy, oftentimes more, with the exception of Obatala, more often than other Orisha. And finally, Oshun is considered the owner of money. Many stories and oral literature in the Odu speak of her as always having riches and or acquiring riches through working with the other Orisha. I'll tell a story later about how she acquired riches through divination. She acquired riches through her sister Yemanja, who introduced her to the riches in the ocean. She's always adorned with riches. Alekba, who she has a very, very close and enduring relationship with, who is considered her guardian in many Odu. Alegba has oftentimes been the support to make sure that she always has riches, so she can always look and feel beautiful, always look and feel effervescent, always look and feel alluring and seductive and attractive. So money is a means to an end to her beingness as always being connected to wealth of various kinds. And one thing I did not put on here that I think is important to mention is that Oshun is also the owner of the act of sex. So so she is the Orisha that is considered the one who is owner of the act of new life coming out of two beings coming together to create it. So she knows the mysteries behind seduction, which lead to reproduction. So Oshun's mysteries ensure our ability to be reproductive as a species and for all species. Any questions for any of those things I mentioned?
What about sex without reproduction?
Yeah.
Well, you said just I'm just like, does it have to
Well,
be?
yes, laws of attraction. Yeah. So no, it doesn't have to be, but think about the Yoruba people and what they value, right? They value wealth
Children.
through children, right? So
Yeah.
that's why she's extremely important in that way for Yoruba belief in cosmology and oral literature because of her role in ensuring the propagation of of Yoruba people to continue and to grow and to flourish. She is the Beji, mother of twins. So she has a very important role to ensuring that that continues. But yes, not only to have children and reproduce, for sure, especially when we get to Cuba, we definitely see her application as an Orisha, the Venus. That's what she's called, the Venus of the Orisha, right? The goddess of love. So and I also like to expand that to all forms of love, self-love, love of community, love of sensuality. When you taste something that tastes really good, like when like the Oshun party that I've held. We bring sweets out that taste, that make you go, oh, that was so good, but you just get a little bit of it, right? You get a little taste, but you go, oh wow, it's like seduction, right? Oh, that tastes so good. What can I have more of that? Later, maybe you'll have more of that, but meanwhile, have some of this. Oh wow, this is so pretty. Oh, this is the seduction of seeing beautiful food, the seduction of seeing a beautiful flower, a beautiful sky, a beautiful river. When we see things of beauty and we incorporate how that makes us feel, the senses that it enlivens in us, that's Oshun. When we experience children laughing and playing and bringing us out of our heads and out of our worries, and we just go, oh, that is so sweet, or children that make us laugh, or just feeling happy, and because of something that you've experienced or something that has brought you some sense of joy, some sense of fulfillment, celebration. That's Oshun. That feeling is part of what Oshun is. So Oshun is in the broad sense, the Orisha that understands the secret and the mysteries to how that works, how that connection between how we see something and feel something from it and respond in a way that really supports our health and well-being, because it's actually good to be happy. Right? We know that it takes more muscles in our face to frown than it does to smile, right? And that means we have more longevity if we smile for longer, right? We know that there are studies on happiness. There are studies on the benefits of happiness and all of that. And Oshun's had the mysteries to that for thousands of years, but folks got to pick it apart. But Oshun, we know that if we trust Oshun could give us the knowledge that we need from her, as well as we would receive from researchers studying joy and happiness and all that fun stuff. But that was a good question. Any other questions? Esai doesn't have a question. What? Hey, Raina, how are you?
Dad, question.
You said you do?
Oh, I was asking if my dad had a question.
No, I
Oh.
don't have. I don't have a question right now. No.
He always keeps his dad on the swivel.
I see. Right, keeps me on point.
Right? He keeps you on point. Oh, McCabe keeps coming in and out. I hope his connection is stable. All right. So we're gonna move on to the next page. Oh, whoops, sorry. So How are we doing on time? I don't have my two screens up today. So we work with Oshun in different ways, right? These are just some ways we can work with Oshun. I'm sure some of you can come up with others. Um, but what Oshun teaches us always, I think in terms of one of the things she teaches us in terms of happiness and how happiness works and how strategy to ensure greater happiness works is to always take the sweetness before the bitterness. Sometimes it's literal. Like some of you I've spoken to about literally with this or literally with this. Like for some people, Oshun will tell them when someone comes to your home, the first thing they should taste is something sweet. You know, you should offer something sweet to someone. Whether they take it or not is their choice, but you should offer something if they're, especially if they're coming to your home for the first time, because there's something in the mystery of giving someone an opportunity to give a first impression to someone, and that first impression be sweet, literally by what they feel and they taste their on their tongue, what someone gives them. That is an impression, as much as it is what you see of someone, as much as it is of what you say to someone. What you give them, what you offer them, says something about what your intentions are, what your capacity is, what you have in your heart, really, potentially towards someone. So you can show that you don't mean any ill will to someone. You can show that it's a welcoming place that will bring them some happiness or some sense of satisfaction. So offering something sweet, even if it's chopped fruit. Sometimes if someone comes to my house for the first time, some of you probably experienced this. I'll say, well, I have something, I have some tea. Would you like some tea? I have some honey for some tea. I have this pineapple. I have bananas. I have oranges. You know, I have something. So I offer. So oftentimes I do that as well. So we do that in life too. So when when we are, you know, people always talking about, you know, when they hear news from something or someone, they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop or waiting for, okay, something good happened to me. I know something else is going to happen, right? But what Oshun teaches us is not to focus on the other shoe that's going to fall, but to focus on the sweetness that we have in the moment and let that carry us. And if there is something else that comes, let it come. But focus on ensuring that we feel and taste and experience and offer sweetness with when we're dealing with people. And that can also come in the way you show yourself in public. Like some people should dress nicely as a way of offering sweetness so people experience something nice when they see them, or wearing a nice oil or perfume, giving a sense of so when you walk by someone, they may not remember your name or know your name, but they'll know, oh, that was a nice cologne or oil or perfume that that person was wearing. And you leave a sweet impression that people prints in someone's brain when they encounter you. And that's a mystery that Oshun teaches us to use whenever we can. Um, Something Oshun has zero tolerance for is abuse. Zero, zero tolerance. Particularly because many of her odus speak of her defending women from abuse, as I mentioned earlier, defending, you know, her children from abuse, whether it be men or women, and definitely defending children, um, physical children from abuse, and mothers. So she comes to the aid of those folks, are us folks. So abuse of any children, mothers, or Oshun's children is taken particularly as a particular offense to Oshun. So being careful to always, it's like what you give in the world, is important to keep in mind. So making sure that you speak sweetly in the world when you need to, and avoid abuse of that kind, avoid abuse of particularly physical. That's something that she and Obatala speak about oftentimes in readings and in Odu, is avoiding avoiding spanking of children, avoiding harsh abuse of any kind to children. So she's very protective of in that regard. And also, of course, abuse of our, enduring abuse ourselves. That's something that Oshun oftentimes is very keen to remind us of, to not endure abuse ourselves, to always be willing and able to find ways out to outwit, outsmart, or get away from anyone who abuses us. And to make sure that we take care of ourselves emotionally. And that can take place in many different ways. Sometimes it's therapy, sometimes it's changing habits or routines that we have, sometimes it's advocating for ourselves or advocating for others. It can be any number of things. Okay, I'll get to that question, Gia. So, when we talk about emotional health, it can be balanced. It can be making sure that we don't have very imbalanced responses or reactions to things that we experience. It can mean knowing when to not allow people into our bubbles. Sometimes we let things that happen in the world affect us when we really don't need to. So giving space to things that really are not for us to be affected by, and tending to those things that we should focus on. Those are things that I learned a lot from Oshun, is making sure that when there's talk and gossip and banter in the world about what's going on, to know if it's not for us to tend to or deal with, then leave it where it is. So that we don't allow that to have some emotional upset for us that we don't need to deal with. And oftentimes, again, it means dealing with, addressing when we are dealing with people in our world and in our lives that are abusive to us or are abusive to others, and making sure that we own that. Sometimes it's hard, and Oshun deals with all the emotions we feel. So sometimes, if we're dealing with those types of emotions, it's hard to sometimes face ourselves with it. So in that sense, Oshun is our divine mirror. And I know some folks have heard me say this, and we see her here with her mirror. Oshun works with mirrors a lot. Sometimes she makes her children or people who come under her care and protection wear mirrors. I actually have a mirror that I wear sometimes. And the mirror serves a couple of different functions. The mirror can make sure that whatever people are coming to you with ill intentions, and they're coming to undermine you in some way, or negatively affect you in some way. The mirror is the way to kind of reflect that back to them, so they see themselves while they're doing whatever they're doing to you. The mirror also helps us to, when we work with the mirrors, is particularly if we have to give Oshun a mirror, or if we have to have a mirror when we're talking to her at the river. Or we use the river as a mirror. Sometimes if we go to the river to talk to Oshun, it's because we're meant to use that river as a mirror, for her to see us and for us to see ourselves, so that we can really kind of get a real view, an authentic view of what we are and who we are in that moment, and not any illusions. Oshun does not deal in illusions at all, at all. Oshun deals with our emotional truths. So when a reading comes up and Oshun is speaking, and she's not particularly happy about a situation, it may not be because you did something to offend her. It may be because she's offended at how you are treating yourself, particularly if there's some idea that you have better knowledge than what you're using. And Oshun's intolerance of and not being real about it, and being either evasive or not being clear to yourself about what you're doing to yourself. She tends to have a specialty in dealing with that, a specialty in helping us to really kind of deal with our crap, even when it's super hard. And giving us a place to just say, okay, let's take off all the layers we've been wearing and dealing with in order to get to the point where we can actually function. Let's take those off and say what's really happening underneath all of that. What does the divine mirror show us? And then when you see it for what it is, you can actually own it and give it a place where you can begin the work. Even if you gotta, sometimes you can do that. You still gotta look good. You still gotta say, okay, while we're on stuff and you crying, and you going through all of that, you can go through all that here. But when you go out there, like I said, cry it out and then work it out. When you go out there, you're gonna look fabulous. You're not gonna let them see you sweat. You're gonna have on your makeup, or you're gonna have on your lipstick, or you're gonna have on some bling. Your hair gonna be laid. Oh, girl, you look so good. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just had my hair done. Doesn't it look nice? Thank you. But meanwhile, you working on your stuff. So even when we need to use strategy to deal with the world, we still have to deal with our authentic self. And Oshun helps us to do both. You can use the mirror as a deflection against your enemies so that they don't think that you're suffering, while you turn it into yourself and see the real you and deal with the things that you need to deal with so that you can actually be at your level best. So Gia asked the question about how does Oshun, I'm going to make sure I say it correctly. How does Oshun see anger? I think is what you said, or deal with anger. Was that your
Deal
question, Gia?
experience, experience or deal with anger, like her own, like does she get angry? And what is that? And what does that look like? And how do
Yeah.
you show her anger?
I wouldn't, again, we don't know Oshun, so I'm not going to answer that question. You're not going to get me, you're not going to catch me slipping, girl. But I will say, I will say, here's something that you see in some proverbs that say, if Oshun is crying, she may be happy. This is the capricious nature that's associated with Oshun. There, when you see Oshun crying, that means she's very happy. When you see her laughing, look out. So I'll say to your answer, we don't, is she laughing because she's angry?
It's that mystery. Is that that part?
Exactly.
Mystery of her character.
And she uses it exactly. She'll use it how it needs to be seen and felt. She'll use it how it needs to be seen and felt. So Oshun's anger, when because there's one particular diviner that I go to a lot, and he always says Oshun is not a happy camper, and the whole room just gets quiet whenever he says that, because everyone knows what that means. It and so anger is not something that you can pinpoint and go, that's Oshun when she's angry. But the thing is, Oshun if Oshun does not like to repeat herself, I will say that too. So if you're working with Oshun in any way, make sure that you listen once and not have to be told twice. Oshun has signs when you divine with her that will say literally the first time you throw, don't ask what you don't know, which you already know rather. So Oshun, that's like one of her specialties, is her and Sean go too, honestly, too. But Oshun, one of Oshun's specialties is to remind us that not to ask what we already know. And that goes back to that question of authenticity and how authenticity works with Oshun, and how she really, when working with her, really requires us to really not not even be duplicitous with ourselves, not delude ourselves. Oshun, I'm gonna answer your question, Dashe. Oshun is the washer of character. I'm gonna say that again for y'all. Oshun is the washer of character. So that means when that's why she's really knows the secrets to emotions. That's why she knows the secrets to intelligence. That's why she knows the secrets to diplomacy and and comportment that way. Because she literally owns how someone's character is literally understood at its core. And so when you're talking about that in relationship to anger, you're dealing with an Orisha that really knows secrets and knows mysteries. And so you can't pull anything over on Oshun. Even like there are different Oshuns when they mount. Some Oshuns when they mount, they don't they're not laughing and smiling like you see a lot of the dances portrayed. Some of them are just very serious, very stern, very serene, and not very like expressive of over the top. But when that Oshun speaks, man, very like hits on the nail on the head of what's happening with people, and will not and will leave it to you to address how. And so that Oshun could be angry too. That Oshun could be mad too because they've seen this person put themselves in the same position over again, but they may not show you that anger. But that doesn't mean that Oshun is not upset. It just means that at some point the responsibility has to be on the person to take control of what it is being called out. Because Oshun will do that. Oshun will wash your character just like she washed her dress at the edge of the river's edge until it turned yellow.
Could you tell that story again? I'm sorry. How do I say it? What's the name? It's
Oh, Pataki?
Pataki.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, there's so many versions of that story, but I did tell the story before that Oshun is actually a Funfun Orisha, which means she's a white Orisha, like Obatala. Her color is white originally, but it's become yellow, and all over the world, Nigeria, everywhere, it's become yellow because of the Pataki that speaks of when she experienced being destitute and wandering in the forest and having nothing but one dress left to wear. I mean, like I just read another story that talked about the war between Inle and Shango for her hand, because they were fighting over her hand. And when they were at war, she was wandering, literally lost in the forest, and only thing she had to wear because she was destitute was one dress. And she had nowhere to live, she had nowhere to go, and she took that one white dress and washed it so often at the river's edge that it actually turned yellow. until SU IA, the SU actually that's my road, it's a SU that's associated with Oshun, took her in and cared for her and fed her and brought in and supported her until she could get back on her feet and get back to live with Shango. So so there are different variations of that story of how that happened, but the stories are all over. There are stories in Candomblé about it. There's stories in Brazil. There's stories in Nigeria. There's stories in Cuba. There's stories in Trinidad, but they all agree that Oshun is a Funfun Orisha, and her color became yellow due to. And so yellow for some roads of Oshun reminds of her when she was in poverty. And so some roads of Oshun don't have a lot of yellow in them because it reminded them, like Ololodi is like that. Though that road reminds the Ololodi so much of her impoverishment that she doesn't like yellow. So her children tend not to wear yellow or much yellow or dress their Oshun in yellow. So like I say, there's lots of variations on that story. So I'm going to answer Dashe's question. Hope I answered your question, Gia.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah. Yes, the question of abortions. Yes. That's a tough one. That's a tough one, Dashe. And a complicated one, right? But I'll say this. Oshun is protector of babies in the womb, right? She protects babies in the womb. So when we make that choice, I don't need to, right? So, but there's also, as a diviner, I can tell you, there are certain signs that come up for women. There's two things to Oshun in terms of signs and working with her around this issue and being in alignment with Oshun around this issue. One set of signs shows a person that's why we get divination, right? There are certain signs that say, look, this sign is saying that you're going to have a surprise on your hands if you're not careful. And it's acknowledging, number one, Oshun is acknowledging that person has been engaged in behaviors that are either not very careful or not very consistent, however you want to put it. But in either case, it's acknowledging that this person is putting themselves at risk for becoming pregnant without planning to do so. Oshun specializes in discussing this. This is one of her specialties. Whenever this comes up, Oshun is the one that is warning the person. So with that knowledge, you can either take it and use it or not. So in the instance where you have that situation, or you have a situation where a person has actually been either made the choice to have an abortion or had some form of miscarriage, and Oshun brings that person under her divine protection and says that given your history with this, if you want to have children in the future, you should definitely avoid doing anything to purposefully stop the opportunity for a child to come that you can have. So those are two instances where Oshun speaks pretty clearly. If a person is in a situation where they have to work through that process for various reasons, no judgment of any kind, then there are ways to work around that situation. But for how Oshun comes into the conversation with a person, that is where she tends to speak before the situation gets to the point where a person is considering it. I want to make sure I get everything in chat. All right. Oh, you didn't know about her story of her dress turning yellow, Tiara? What have you heard about her with her dress, with her clothes and everything? Have you heard other stories?
No, I haven't. It's just pretty much just been the story with yellow because of, like what it represents and, beauty and, just kind of being like flamboyant and all of that. But I did hear that she is associated with white, but I didn't know that the white came before the yellow and that was the reason for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are several stories in oral literature that speak to several pataki that speak to her. I mentioned another story about that, another pataki last week when I spoke about Oba. Oh no, when I spoke about the Ideyu and the Beiji, I spoke about it too, because there's another story about her after she gave away the twins that she gave birth to for Yemanja to raise. And when she did that, she felt a sense of emptiness and loneliness, and she wandered the world without, destitute. Some say she went mad. There's all these different interpretations, but that ultimately she was destitute, and it came to the same thing, that she washed her clothes at the edge of the river until they turned yellow. So there are different variations of that story in terms of her wearing yellow. That is associated with the river and the river's edge, and that's my knowledge of how her association with yellow came about. And ambers and golds and all of those colors is because of her connection with the river itself, and green too, to an extent, because there are a lot of roads of Oshun that also have green in them. Ibuaquaro, my road doesn't have any green. My road of Oshun is Ibuanya. Ololo D definitely has green as well. Ibukole definitely has green in her road as well. So also when we talk about the colors of the Orisha, and particularly colors of Orisha that have different roads, sometimes the colors of that Orisha have to do with the road that you're speaking about. So for instance, here, if we're talking about Ololo D, you're definitely like not talking about yellow. Because yellow is not is almost considered taboo for Ololo D. Yes, we can definitely talk about her. Oh, I'm sorry. Before I get to that question, Antonika, Tiara, did that help with your association with the colors of Oshun?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I heard that there are actually certain shades of yellow that you should never have whenever you're trying to honor Oshun or wear. What shades are those?
It again depends on the road of your Oshun.
Wow.
So if you're initiated, that's more of an issue. If I don't know of any instance where someone who's not initiated to Oshun has to address this question directly or has to deal with this necessarily. So like I said, Ololo D, even in my road, really like really bright yellows, like bright yellows, not
This
really, not, yeah, no, that wouldn't. And even when I've worn them every now and then, it's like, just something in me just doesn't like them. So my Oshun takes like honey yellow and amber. So she doesn't really take a lot of bright yellow. Let me see if I can. I don't know if you, with this background, I don't know if you'll see, but this is my. Oh, you can't even see it. Never mind. But y'all see my Ide in my necklaces for Oshun. She has mostly honey colored beads in hers. All of mine have mostly honey colored beads. They might have a little touch of yellow, but not much at all. But the honey colored yellows are more how I dress my Oshun, if you notice. So yeah, so it really depends. So certain yellows, you know, if you like if you go to Nigeria, all of those women are wearing that bright, many of them, especially during Oshogbo festival, they're wearing the really bright yellow, and they're wearing really bright yellow beads for Oshun. So they don't, and so, but there are different roads of Oshun, but it depends on where you are in Yoruba land because those roads are based in regional areas that are different. So some areas of Oshun that worship Oshun only have white. They really don't have a lot of different color variation. They worship Oshun as a white Orisha, as a funfun. Um, so, you know, in Cuba, you see a lot of variation in color of different ways to worship Oshun, but because she's associated so dominantly, predominantly with yellow, you'll see more of associations with um, yellow with gold with her. I see mostly, but or some honey yellow, depending too. But yeah, it really depends on if you're initiated and how you're, you know, what road of Oshun you have once you're initiated and how that guides your what you can wear, what you cannot wear. Hope that answers your question. So there was a question about her Oshun's association with Olegba. So it's a very, very close association. There are roads of Olegba. Well, there are roads of Olegba for a good number of different Orisha. But Olegba, as I mentioned, is considered like her guardian or the Orisha that helps her and supports her, or that she works closely with if she needs support of any kind. I think it goes back to that Pataki where he found her when she was destitute and not herself and dressed in rags and barely and hadn't eaten and was starving, and he took her in. There's a story that's pretty widely circulated, well, mostly widely circulated, that talks about why Oshun eats castrated goat. And for those who do not know, castrated goat is a male goat that has been, no cojones, has been castrated, right? So when she was destitute, at her most destitute, Eshu Aye took her in, and he ate goat, but he did not eat female goat. He eats male goat. So in order to feed Oshun, and he knew she didn't like male goat. She wouldn't eat it because she thought it tasted bitter. And so in order to take the bitterness out of the goat for Oshun, Alegba castrated the goat for Oshun in order for her to eat it. So that's why to this day, when you feed, if ever someone has to feed a goat Oshun, it has to be a castrated goat. So Alegba has always been able to be the one that helps Oshun to get what she needs. So he's the one that helps her to get the rituals that she needs, helps her to get the work, the things in the world that she needs, as he's the one who's able to understand and communicate to any and all beings, much in the way Oshun has, right? So they both understand a lot about mystery and how it works and how how to use it and work with it. So in that sense, they have a very kind of symbiotic relationship in terms of how she knows how to work with different Orisha and he does too. So whenever she needs anything from Alegba, he's very good at supporting her through anything that she needs to get for her children or anything she needs to get for her her own needs, as in terms of her needs for wealth, her needs for having things work in a very quick way for herself. So he's a very important connection to her in many ways, in terms of for herself and for her children. Alegba is not my father, but Alegba is the father for one of my children who's initiated to Oshun, and it's very interesting how he he doesn't have to wait for hardly anything. She's very they both work for him very easily. It's really actually kind of beautiful. Let me make sure I get all the. Okay, so the question is, what do you think of people offering Castro to go to her if she is for her for love and life? It seems a little counterproductive to what she is for. Okay. Yeah, so that's a whole nother film, Tierra. I mentioned that because it's a pataki and it does relate to what she does eat. But many people who are working with me here know that generally the only reason somebody would have to offer a goat to an Orisha is if it is a life and death situation, like initiation. Initiation is literally, in many cases, a life and death situation, right? You're literally exchanging your old life for a new one. So, there's no, unless you're literally in some extreme dire straits, and it's the last, 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 last recourse. How many lasts were that? I don't even know. And I could add more. So it's only a last, there's many, many, many steps for anybody I work with before you get to that point. And if you've gotten to that point, it means oftentimes that you have not listened for a long time and for a lot of reasons leading up to that. It is not something that is offered just because you're working with an Orisha. It is offered only if you absolutely need to exchange your life with an animal for you to save yourself. We got candy, we got fruit, we got prayer, we got candles, we got cloth, we've got what else? We've got cloth, we've got oh my goodness, help me out, y'all. We've got dishes, we've got chin chin, we've got water, we've got coconuts,
Honey.
hello. I was waiting on somebody to say it. We've got honey. Yes, we've got jewelry, we've got fans, we've got pictures. Someone did a beautiful picture for Oshun. I still have it with her. I'm gonna keep it with her. We have so many things, Tierra, that we do as a priest, to work with Oshun before we get to that piece. So that is not a worry, and people here can share with you. Okay. So I'm going to answer this next question. What do you think Oshun has become? Why do you think she's become so popularized in popular culture in the past few years? Okay, yes, Tierra, it seems like that was satisfactory to you. Raina, that's an interesting question. I think Oshun, of all the Orishas, has always been the most popular one. I think that she's always been the most popular Orisha, I think, besides maybe Shango and Alegba. There are different reasons why. I think part of it is that I think that there have been certain movements within the New Age spiritual practices that are trying to draw from ancient resources of knowledge and presence. And Oshun is one that represents peacefulness, sweetness, beauty, and happiness, which yoga oftentimes promotes happiness, right? For example, A lot of practitioners, I think, are trying to find something that can be accessible, but yet feels ancient and rooted in something. And I think Oshun represents that for people. I think because she's so attractive in many ways that she draws, people are attracted to the energy of seduction. I think that's part of it too. Because people are looking for something that helps them to feel connected to something alluring in different ways. So, I mean, even as I'm a yoga practitioner, some of you know, from practicing Kundalini for, oh gosh, like 15 years now, give or take 15 years. And I have heard people who practice Kundalini include on their yoga CDs Oshun songs, like regularly. So there are a lot of, excuse me one second. Okay, thank you. My kids are having a very lively debate about something. My apologies. And nobody won because everybody's so smart. So anyway, so yeah, so I think there's this, this, she's seduction, she's love, she's happiness, and yoga, especially the way it's practiced now, the new age phenomenon it's become, I think it's looking to draw influences that help people feel attracted to it too. I'm sure that they sold more CDs when they had an Ocean song on there. She sells.
She's where the money resides.
And thank you. She's where the money resides. There you go. So I think it's a number of factors. And I think it'll be even more interesting to see how that happens in the future. I'd love for that to translate into people wanting to make sure rivers are still around. I mean, we're down to less than 2% of fresh water on the planet. Oshun is so popular, but yet she's literally so rare compared to, and we need water. I wish it translated to people not having to, not have access to fresh water on the continent of Africa. I wish, you know what I mean? I wish that the liberation practices that she represented were reflective in how people view it beyond commodification. I wish more people would do river cleanups, including myself, right? So I wish all of that goodwill and interest and seduction and alluring and beauty and joy and happiness translated into really understanding that Oshun is with us, right? She's with us, and we should take care of her. I've done river cleanups, but I haven't done enough. I haven't. And I'm looking to change that as soon as I can. So, yes, okay, so I'm gonna answer, yes, exactly, Tiara, exactly. You're welcome, Raina. Yes, oh yeah, yes, that's true. Beyonce did give people, she piqued people's curiosity. She piqued people's curiosity. And she continues to, because she's she's teasing people just enough to keep people. She's using the art of seduction, literally, right? She'll throw an Oshun word here and there, or wear a dress, but she won't say a word about what she's doing. She'll never say a word. But if you catch her singing about Oshun in one word in the whole song, Black Parade, and she's literally using the art of seduction that Oshun represents. Isn't that interesting? That's all I'll say about that. So, Yes, there are others who talk who or sing like the group Oshun and their following. Yes, the group Oshun has a definite following. They are interesting. They're interesting and really good. Ibeji is another one. Ibeyi rather is another group um, that do that. So Isai wanted to know about what happens during the head marking. So yes, so during the head marking, the only thing that a person learns, and for those who do not know, I don't know if everyone here knows what a head marking is, so I'll explain a little bit about that. A head marking is when a person um, learns of the Orisha on their head. The Orisha that, should they ever become initiated, is literally the Orisha that they should worship and the Orisha that they should prepare for in the event that they should be initiated. So during a head marking, the person only learns of their head Orisha. They do not learn of any other Orisha. They don't learn about the second Orisha. That only happens during initiation. So the head marking literally only establishes the Orisha that is on your head, not the Orisha that accompanies you in addition to that. But people who are initiated do have um, balance that's established between the Orisha on their head, that may be a masculine or feminine energy, and the Orisha that is the complement to that, which would be the opposite. So, for instance, for myself, I am initiated to Oshun, a feminine, the feminine Orisha. Some would say I probably need it because they say you get what you need, right? So I got the ultimate feminine Orisha for my head, and Obatala is my father, who is considered more generally a male Orisha, although there are female paths even within Obatala's pantheon, which makes sense because of he molds humans. So there are feminine complements to even Obatala as well. So I have both. Like I said, my son is Oshun, son of Oshun, but has a Legbai as his father. And so you have that. So if you have an Orisha that is a male Orisha on your head, or a male energy on your head, then you'll have a feminine complement to that. Did that answer your question, Isai?
Yes, but now I have another question
Of
that I
course.
think everybody about after you said that. So, what if there are, okay, well, not what if, um, is it possible for your two Orisha when you get initiated to be conflicting?
Uh, Define conflicting.
Like, conflicting, like, have, um, I don't know, conflict in their backgrounds.
That's an interesting question. I would say that all of the Orisha have had you've had different stories of different Orisha having differences or conflicts with other Orisha, but that does not, I think, affect, that's historically placed and helps to eliminate issues that we learned from, not so we don't inflate the conflict as an innate concern for the person. What we do is we just acknowledge what that conflict was and work with the energies for how they are meant to support us. So the focus of that is not the focus of our worship or the focus of our connection with them. So like Yemanja and Oya, or Yemanja and Shango, particularly Oya and Shango rather. because there's no conflict between Yemanja and Oya. I mean Yemanja and Shango, but there is a historic conflict between Oya and Yemanja. And so that does affect people who are initiated to Yemanja or Oya in terms of what orishas they receive, but it doesn't affect how you understand or feel supported by Oya. If I'm a daughter of Yemanja and I see someone who's initiated to Oya, or I have an opportunity to sing or dance for Oya, I sure can. But it doesn't, so that doesn't mean that I don't have a relationship to worship that Orisha, but it may affect how I'm able to work with that Orisha. Okay, so those historic conflicts that do exist and that we do acknowledge are not the source of our focus in our worship. Does that help? Does that help and answer your question, Isai?
Yeah, I think I was thinking like, because like you were saying, not the same. It's not the same thing, but you were saying like don't put certain ancestors next to each other. So I was thinking maybe
Oh,
Orisha might have certain backgrounds, or they
oh,
might.
okay, yeah, okay. I think I know what you mean. I was speaking it. Well, that's another thing. I was speaking of like you have a spirit table and an ancestor table. They're treated differently. They should not be commingled. But with Orisha, that can be the case. Um, that can be the case, but not as a folk again. So yeah, there are instances like I think I've mentioned before, there are certain orishas that don't eat together. So yes, so when you're feeding or working with an orisha, that you would, there may be instances where those orisha don't eat together, but but you'll know when you have to apply that, and it's very specific and in specific cases. So it's not a general rule that you have to be constantly that you have to be working on that being a priority. It's very specific to very specific circumstances with specific orishas that you learn of when the time comes to learn it.
Okay, so Orisha don't have beef.
No, they do not have beef. Agreed. Yes, the Orisha don't have beef. That's an excellent way of putting it. Oh, so we're at 6:30 and I didn't speak directly to the rest of how we work with those Shun. Do y'all mind if we go a little over? We had a really great lively question and answer, but I wanted to give a chance. I wanted to speak of one pataki if I could. Are you guys good if I go to the next one and go to one pataki?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I heard someone say yes. Okay. I think everyone got everything on this page pretty good, right? Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Dashe. All right. Okay. So the one pataki I wanted to focus on is with Oshun and Orumila. As I mentioned, for those of you who do not know, Orumila is the Orisha that we consider the Orisha of knowledge and wisdom. Orisha, so Orumila rules over means by which we learn of things, and and integrating knowledge. So divination is really the cornerstone of worship with Orumila, divination, working with medicines, advising people. I often tell people that this religion really is a religion of higher education. this is college. When you learn how to divine and you learn how to work with this system, it's a system of higher learning. So Orunmila is the patron Orisha of higher learning. And so Oshun, as I mentioned before, has lived with, consorted with, married many different Orisha, many different powerful Orisha. Orunmila was one of them. Orunmila was allured by Oshun, seduced by Oshun, brought her home to live with him, and he had a thriving practice as a diviner. Of course, everyone went to Orunmila for divination. And he had many people who always came to him and then came back to him. And so while he had Oshun in his home, he had business in another town, he traveled away from the home and left Oshun there. So while he was gone, and Oshun learned much from him. She learned to divine from Orunmila. And she learned to divine with Iking from Orunmila. So his clients will come to see her. And I love this story. So his clients came to see her, and she would divine for them. And not only did she divine for them, she actually went about the business of solving their problems, preparing the medicines for them, giving them advice, supporting, helping them to get through their problems. And so she made lots of money because she helped lots of people. They all heard about this person who was at Orunmila's house, his wife, who was such a great diviner. And so people started to come to work with Oshun actually while he was gone. And so she made lots and lots of money. She helped lots and lots of people. And so when Orunmila came back, though, and she's, when he came back, she ceded the role back to him and said, "Okay, well, did my part." And his clients stopped coming because she solved all their problems. She helped them all out, so to the point that they didn't need to come back. Imagine that. And Orunmila was like, really? We doing this now? So he had new clients that came. So his old clients never came back. And he decided to give Oshun another divining tool so that she could have her own divining tool, because she had committed a taboo in working with his, because Orunmila is a patron society of men, and she was not a man. And so instead of shutting her out of her practice altogether, he gave her a system of tools to use that we call Marandilongun, the cowrie shells, and gave her implements from his tool set for investigation. The stone, the shell, the knucklebone from the goat, and other implements as well. And so that is how Oshun became the owner of the bag of wisdom. And Oshun became the one who owns the bag of wisdom and supports diviners. Yes, isn't it? Isn't it deep, Isai? So
Yes.
Oshun also, yeah. So also the day that's worn by people who worship with Orunmila. I have like a couple of E-days. I should wear them more often. I don't wear them as much. So the E-days are the ones in Cuba are green and yellow, but originally they were a different set of colors. But they represent Orumila's relationship with Ogun and Oshun. So Oshun is even present in the E-day that is worn by worshipers and those who receive the implements to work with Orunmila. So Oshun is present there as well. And Ogun represents retribution against those who seeks and cannot resolve their problems, because he's the god of war. And Oshun represents the ability for those to receive support from Oshun to save them from death. So Oshun is even integral into how we represent, how Orumila is represented in the Ide. That's worn on the wrist, on the left wrist. So that is a little story about Oshun and Orumila. I wanted to go over this song, but I don't know if we have enough time. I know we're over time, and I wanted to, and I want to make sure if there's any more questions y'all can ask them, but y'all been asking them all along what you asked for. So, anyone have any questions before I go into the song? I don't believe my godson Fatumbi doesn't have any questions. I'm sitting here wondering what the heck is going on. He ain't been here and he ain't got no questions. I'm wondering what's happening here. And then you're gonna be blowing me up later with 50, like 5-paragraph texts. Uh-huh. Yeah, I'm calling you out, son.
So I'm
Okay.
not the only one. Cool.
All right, Gia. Thank you for coming. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
You know, yeah, I freeze up on the spot. You can't be doing me like that.
Right.
Because I can. That's my job. I just know you. I'm surprised you don't have any questions.
I think my biggest thing was just like understanding our path of Oshun. Cause like I read some stories about her, and I'm really excited to get to the song. That's why like it just, yeah, I've been actually practicing my singing voice, doing like vocal warm-ups and stuff. So I'm ready tonight.
Okay. All righty. So thank you, Tiara. Thank you for joining us. I'm glad you're able to come and ask questions and engage with us. Please come back. Hopefully you'll come back next week. And please, we want to make sure we encourage everyone to donate to the Southside Liberation Center. If you need any information about how to do that, please let me know and I can provide it for you. All righty. Thank you, Empress Dashe, for coming. All right. So we are going to go into the song, and hopefully, though, for those of you who can stay, okay, great. I will give that to you. I will put it in the chat. All right, I'm going to look it up right now. So as we did before, I can only sing with everyone on mute, so that we can hear the song and sing along. So I'm gonna provide it right here. Let me see, Joshua. He just sent it, so that's why now I can send it. He just sent it. Where is it? So I'm gonna sing the song, and when I do that, everyone can hear and sing along as well. And I'll give you a chance when I sing it the first time. I'm gonna try and sing it slowly, and then you all can sing along with me. Okay? Ide were were ni tao shun, ide were were. Ide were were ni tao shun, ide were were ni ta iya. Ochaki ni ba ni tao shun, Cheke. Nitai. Yes, one too many checkers. Ite were. Ite were ni tao shun. Ite were. Ite were ni tao shun. Ite were ni taiya. Ochaki ni ba ni tao shun. Cheke ni taiya. Ite were. Try one more time, y'all.
You want us to sing with you?
Yeah, but you got to do it.
Ite
You have
were ni tao shun.
Dashu.
Ite were ni tao shun.
yeah, you got the basic rhythm of it. Cool. So yeah, so if we sing all together, I can't sing it.
Yeah,
With us.
yeah. Your question.
Yes,
So that part where it's like Nita, it's not ya. How did you pronounce it? You said ire were Nita, and then you pronounce it. You didn't say ya. You said something else.
Nitaya.
Nita iya. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Got it.
All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna give you one more. I'm gonna give one more shot at it or so because I know folks have to go. I'm cognizant of the time, but I'm gonna put the you all can send any donations through PayPal to southsideliberationcenter.org to southsideliberation.com gmail.com rather, and or go to the center, the website, which we do have up and running now. For those of you haven't seen it, .org. Yes. All right. So I'm going to do one more time. And this is a very popular song. This is a song you will very, very much likely hear at a drum or hear on a recording. Ite were ni tao shun, ite were. Ite were ni tao shun, ite were ni taiya. Ochake ni ba ni tao shun, cheke ni taiya. Ite were. Ite were ni tao shun, ite were. Ite were ni tao shun, ite were ni taiya. Ochake ni ba ni tao shun, cheke ni taiya. Ite were. Y'all seem to be getting along with the song pretty well. Oh, yay! He's singing along too. How sweet. All right. So there's a beautiful version of this song. I'm going to put the artist in the chat. Beautiful version of this song. My children fell in love with the song because hearing this growing up. If you check out the Kwanzaa album by Women of the Calabash, you will hear one, and they play shekere, which is also a sacred instrument of Oshun. Because Oshun used the shekere to liberate women, the town of women in Oshemeji. So she used literally music to drive away evil and to drive away oppression from women in that Odu. So the so the version they use with the shakere of several women playing the very large shakeres is absolutely beautiful.
I
So
used
I
to
would encourage.
listen to this version every morning. Yeah,
I'm telling you, isn't it the most beautiful
it
version of this
is.
song? It's my what it is my standalone all time favorite. That and a version of Ishe Oluwa, which I just played for a naming ceremony. Um, Speaking of which, so thank you all for coming today. The class was really great today, wasn't it? Oh, she makes everything great.
Wait, yeah, I got a question.
Oh,
Sure,
there we
some,
go.
all
Batunde,
right.
there we go.
So I know that, or I've heard that Oshun is also like over the home and like just like having your like personal space together as well. So could you speak more to that and like also ways to just honor her within that realm?
Um, I say Oshun has something to do with the affairs of the home, but really Oba does. And I talked about that last week. Oba is really the patron saint of home affairs. Um, Oshun can definitely have some work that can support people in the home. I would say, in terms of inner alignment in Oshun, um, one thing that I mentioned was serving sweetness before bitterness. So making sure if, and for some people, that's something that they really should do is making sure that you drive away bitterness from your home so that you can, if you have people that come, or even to have your, well, even to feel good in your home yourself, to make sure that you, between the language that you have, the types of ways people experience or you experience how, your food tastes, your feelings are, your the way you show up in your home, if you feel like your energy is low or down, make sure that wear something that is comfortable but looks attractive or feels good against your skin. Wear silk pajamas, or make sure you're not walking around looking like, a haggard in your home. you know Make sure you look together even if you're by yourself, because you want to look good. Some people should feel good, look good to themselves too, right? Not just when other people come over. So what are you doing to bring up your own vibration when nobody's looking? When you're just by yourself, you have no one to look for you, to you, at you. Just being by yourself. How do you treat yourself when you're by yourself? Those are questions people can ask themselves. And if you feel like when no one's around, that's when you dress in tatters, you you don't do your hair, you let crust roll around your eyes all day, you don't brush your teeth, you don't take care of your height, you just go you just go full out, what, like ugh, you know that is a sign of someone who internally is not feeling well about themselves. If that's the way you always operate when you're not being watched, how do you watch yourself? That's what we talked about earlier, the divine mirror, right? How the divine mirror shows up to remind us that we should always be our authentic selves, but always take care of ourselves too. So, how do you care for yourself even when you don't have someone when you're not doing it for the camera, you're not doing it for Facebook, or you're not doing it for somebody who's sitting there, or the thought of someone watching you? I think that is the way you can bring order to your home, is how do you treat yourself? And if you treat yourself poorly, hey doggy, if you treat yourself poorly, even if your home looks neat but you look a wreck, then are you really who are you treating your home well for? Are you treating your home well for yourself or for other people? So I think it has to do with how you reflect from your own mind, how you treat yourself, and how you show up for yourself. I don't know if that was answering your question, but that's the way I look at it. Good to see you, Rosalind. Good luck on your writing. Have a great weekend and have a happy Mother's Day. So so those are ways that I look at it, Fatundi, is through that lens. There are times when I will walk around the house and like my mom used to always put on like her muumuu, which made her look cute, but always made her feel comfortable. So I have my muumuus too. I have my dresses or my my adire gowns or a showcase that I wear around the house that look really nice, but keep me feeling comfortable and looking cute too, regardless of if people are here or not. I'll put some sandalwood oil on, even if I'm not going out, right? Because I like to smell good. So the first home you take care of is the home that that your Ori is enshrined in. That's your first home. Even if you have four walls or you don't have four walls, you still have this one. You still have all of this to take care of, right? So that's the home we talk about, the home that houses your Ori. When we talk about readings and taking care of yourself, that's the first house. So Oshun teaches us that we should take care of the temple, the sacred place that houses our head, houses our consciousness. That's why you always see those Oris adorned so beautifully, because that is literally a representation of that. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you.
You're welcome. All righty, y'all. Well, y'all hung pretty tightly today. Thank you for hanging with us. I thought we would go over because we were talking about Oshun. You hear me? I thought we'd go over, but glad you all were able to stick with us to the very last breath.
Thank you. Happy Mother's Day, everyone, and
Thank you.
and yeah, we're okay for after 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
All right. What did you say, Isai?
It was ominous.
Thank you, Aunt Shanika. Give everyone my love back in Tampa. And wish your mother well for me, and happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend,
Yeah,
everyone.
hello, yeah. This is
Happy Mother's
Makiba.
Day.
I just have a question real quick.
Okay, sure.
So
Something's going on with
I
your.
don't know if I should
Something's
ask you,
going on with
Atalan,
this
should I do them
signal.
at home and bring them, or should? Whoa.
Oh, the Ebo. You definitely have to bring them here so I can give it to Abatala here. We have to present it to, because we have to divine and present it here.
So I'm saying, like, should I prepare everything here and then bring it prepared, or should I just bring the materials and we could prepare it together? I'm not.